Hi, welcome back. I am Cori Panyard, Learnwell's Navigator Program Director. We are so glad you're here. I'm so happy to be here with Dr. Melissa Shipman.
I'm happy to be here too.
And we are in video 3 of a 4-part series on how to start a co-op or co-op 101. This is for anybody who really realizes the need for community but has not been able to find something that really fits those needs, and so might be a little bit hesitant to launch out on their own. We're hoping to demystify that process and just walk you through step by step so that anybody really can do this. So if you missed the first 2 videos, the first one's all about just kind of figuring out the why and getting those first decisions kind of in place, all the way to finding your people. And then in our last video, we really broke it down into some of those non-academic but really important decisions to make, things to have in place, things like schedule, locations, who's teaching, communication, how to get everybody on the same page, those expectations, all of that. So if you haven't checked those out, go back. Those are super important, and we'll lay the groundwork for being able to have a really important conversation today around the academics, because most of our co-ops really are surrounding, most of our homeschool co-ops really are surrounding academics. That's part of our why. So I'm going to break this down. There's just a couple little portions. The biggest one is curriculum. We actually did a series.
Yes, we did.
Asking, should I homeschool? How do I homeschool? And in one of those videos, also video 3, I think.
Oh, well, look at that.
Of that. We'll have to look that up. We'll put that in the description for sure, and maybe
that would be good.
Link back to that so that way you can see the deep dive that we go into curriculum there. But we are going to touch on curriculum here because it is so important. And then we're also going to talk a little bit more about teachers and just kind of some extras there. So
you'll start with curriculum?
Let's start with curriculum.
So the tricky part in starting a co-op is really going to be making sure that everybody's on the same page. One thing that can be tricky about homeschool curriculum, it's a little hard to get your hands on it sometimes. If you, by chance, have a bookstore that carries homeschool curriculum, we have one here in Alpharetta, Georgia. We're so lucky. I would do a field trip. I would do a mom field trip. See if maybe you can go on a weekend morning when somebody else, dads, whoever, can watch the kids, and just go and pull things off the shelf and look at what it is. I mean, I would before then start with something like what we talked about in the previous video, the Kathy Duffy reviews or something like that, to kind of have a short list, because they're the list of or what is available for homeschool curriculum is just growing exponentially all the time. So please don't start with 0. But if you go to a little shop like that, another great place is a homeschool convention or fair. At the convention, usually some of the bigger publishers are there, and sometimes small publishers as well, and you can actually get your hands on a workbook or a set of materials and just see what is this all about. If you can't do that, I would rely heavily on reviews and read a lot of them, and reviews by parents. You know, you can start with something like Kathy Duffy reviews, but then I would really look for parent reviews. Maybe that's another good thing to put out on something like a Facebook homeschool group for your state or your region or your county, whatever that might be. Hey, has anybody ever used this curriculum for elementary math? Can you tell me how much prep do I need? What are the things that we need to think about in our co-op? And so the question of curriculum is really important, because you are in this co-op, you're mutually depending on the other parents to teach your children, to teach their children. And so the curriculum will be kind of an important guidepost in doing that.
Yeah, in our other video, we really do take a deep dive in how to evaluate curriculum. And so there's also in the description of that video, we've linked some resources that we have that just allow you to kind of get your head around all of the considerations for curriculum and compare a couple side by side. So definitely check out that. When, like you said, when you're dealing with a co-op and thinking about curriculum for a co-op, though, you're there's going to be some give and take, right? Because all of the metrics that you might use and the values that you have for your curriculum might not exactly match up with the needs of somebody else. And this might also have to take into consideration who is doing the teaching,
right?
Because some curriculums are a little bit easier to use or more user-friendly than others.
Right.
So all of those are going to have to be part of that decision-making process.
For sure.
Like I said, we go in deep dive into how to evaluate. And so once you have those conversations among your co-op groups of what are those corporate values, cooperative values, then you can use some of those same metrics to kind of decide how to narrow this down. I love the idea of going to either homeschool fairs or out to shops if they're available to be able to get your hands on physical workbooks and stuff. That just makes a big difference to be able to see it for yourself versus seeing even a video of a walkthrough.
Right.
So if you can do that will help you to get your little group to go together and take a field trip.
Another question you might want to ask is if anybody in your co-op is coming in with an idea about this is the style of homeschooling, Charlotte Mason, unschooling, classical, something like that. Make sure you're on the same page with that. If you don't know what I was just talking about, that's okay. But it may be that somebody else has read a little bit more about one approach to homeschooling and really loves that. So just ask that question.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Because not all curriculums are conducive to all styles.
No.
So that's a really good thing to keep in mind. Once you've chosen your curriculum, that also is going to help you as a co-op plan your schedule and plan your year, because you're going to need to figure out what are the curriculums we're using in each grade or in each subject. If there's some continuity there, sometimes that helps. But that'll be a big deal for kind of some of that big picture planning once you've decided academically what you're going to use. Other considerations that we've touched on in the other video, thinking about portability, depending on where your location is. Are you moving around a bunch or are you wanting to meet outside occasionally? How portable can a curriculum is can be a really big deal. Anything else that I am not thinking of on curriculum?
I don't think so. I mean, as a co-op, because parents are part of the teaching, they'll feel deeply about curriculum, and so you do want to make sure that you have something that particular parent is comfortable with using to teach. Another expectation that you wouldn't probably think you need to say, but I would really encourage you to say from the get-go, is that teachers and parents do need to commit to everyone's education that they're teaching, and not just, this is kind of awkward to say, but not just let their own child drive what's happening at the table. And so, of course, everyone's going to answer yes to that initially, but that might be a good conversation to have before and in the middle of this co-op year. Just reminding everybody, hey, we're committed to everyone's child that we're teaching. So
that's a really important note when we think about teachers and where the teaching actually meets that academics. It can be really easy to be drawn to your own kiddo or to be drawn to one kid in particular.
It's the mama bear.
It is.
Absolutely.
But when you are responsible for multiple kids, whether it's 2 or 5, it does take a different skill set and a different mindset, I think, as the person teaching it, to say, okay, no, we want to make sure that everybody has gotten this, and what does that actually look like?
For sure.
So our last video had a lot more on that as far as equipping. Hopefully by now there's comments and
other
additional
resources.
engagement for resources for you to be able to kind of help manage all of that. So
I think that's
really
good.
important note there. So that just leaves us with kind of some of the fringe academic, the extras, like extracurriculars. Are we doing PE? Are we doing art? Is everybody signing up for a particular club? Or do we have parents we talked about leaning into our strengths? What are some of those extra considerations?
Well, I mean, I I have a really strong bias towards the arts. I think arts are really important.
So
I think it needs to be an integral part of the education, especially of younger students, as much as you can incorporate movement, music, art into just the academics. But even outside of that, I think that's great. And so, but talk about this in your co-op, talk about this among all of the parents and say, okay, what are your expectations for these sorts of extras to be provided? Do we want PE time, for instance? That's usually not too hard to accomplish, but especially with a group of children. But just make sure that you're all on the same page. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I cannot say enough, again, that the success of your co-op will really rest on there being clear expectations that everyone understands and has agreed to mutually together.
I mean, that really is the secret sauce. If we had like one takeaway from how to start a co-op 101, it is clear communication from the get-go and making sure everybody is on the same page. Like that will be the single most important determining factor on longevity.
You know, we're all just human, and sometimes we don't state what our expectations are clearly, so make sure you draw that out of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that said, next time I am so excited for our next video. We've talked about a lot of obstacles, and there are a lot of ways that Learnwell can help. So that's all in the next video. Until next time.
Bye-bye.